As most of you know, I've been on the search, on the quest to find more and cool solo tools and oracles and other kinds of fun stuff. So today, we're taking a look at another one. We're looking at the Little GM Emulator. That's right. Let's break it down. Hurrah! Well, hi, hello, everybody. My name is Turk. Welcome back to the Grouch Couch. Around here, we have all different kinds of solo RPG things. That's right. Today, we're looking at the Little GM Emulator because I am on the quest to find new and different GM emulators and solo oracles and other kinds of fun stuff like that. And I think that this one might have some potential to replace a couple of tools in your guys' back pockets. So we're going to check it out. But before we do, of course, I want to give a big shout out to our channel members and Ko-Fi supporters. Because of your guys' support, we get to remain authentic right here on the channel and do whatever the heck we want to do. So I appreciate you so much for supporting the show. Thank you so much. Now, if you want to get the Little GM Emulator, there will be a link down in the description to DriveThruRPG for you to pick it up. And by using that link, it will help support the show. So thank you so much for doing that. Now, I think I've seen this for the very first time actually on a Dungeon Dive video. So shout out to the Dungeon Dive for showing this off. I don't think they didn't actually use it or play it. They just said, I'm going to use this in one of their actual plays. And I was just like, what is that? So I had to go check it out. Yeah. There is a lot of chapters, as we can see, in this here Little GM Emulator, but I think a lot of these are just roll charts, right? So we should still be able to get through this, hopefully in enough time to make a normally length video today. Hopefully, that's the idea. Whenever I play solo RPGs, I always heavily rely on the mechanics and the funness that comes from the Mythic Game Master Emulator right there. It's the first one I ever played, and so I really do want to find some different ones, some other fun ways to play, some other fun things to do. So I've been exploring tools, and if you want to look at other tools that I have explored and looked at, there will be a playlist, of course, for you to check out all that stuff right here on the channel. Now, the Little GM Emulator was also made by Gustavo Coelho. Hopefully I'm saying that okay. Doing my best. And it looks pretty neat. But I also will say, if you guys pick this thing up and you find good fun out of it, make sure to help them out and leave them a review there on old DriveThruRPG, because it doesn't have that many, right? This is one of those under the radar kind of games, at least on DriveThru. Okay, scrolling down here. On this first page here, we do have an introduction as to what solo RPGs are and stuff like that, which I think is good. But one thing we should point out is it says to make traditional RPGs playable solo, there are tools to emulate the GM's role in the conversation. The following GM emulation method is based on the aforementioned Little Town, which itself is inspired by the Mythic Game Master Emulator. Dang it! Well, video over. I'm just kidding. We'll see what they've put together. All right. Another tool is aimed at solo role-playing. It is designed to be simple, quick to learn, and its purpose is to enable solo gameplay of RPGs originally meant for group play. Very cool. This fun little artwork, which we can actually find this artwork on other things. I'll talk about them later, but there actually are some extra PDFs that you get, some printable things from DriveThru. If you purchase it from there, there are some extra, it says fan-made. I don't know if they are, but I'll show them later. Now we have our core concepts here, which we should all know what those are. D6 is a 6-sided dice, etc. Then we have theme and system, which is fun in here. Basic steps and tips for you, which I think it's always good when people include these. But one thing that we should mention, though, is that it says pick a game system, any game system, but hopefully pick one that you already know well. This is beneficial because in solo RPGs, where you're both the player and the GM, you'll have to manage both aspects of the game. And by selecting a system that you're used to, you'll spend less time looking up rules to enhance your gaming experience. Yes, very good advice right there. All right, we have some more tips and tricks here, right? In a solo RPG, all questions are answered by the emulator and other tools to generate random elements. In a nutshell, the GM emulator will be used to set the scene and provide answers to questions about the character's surroundings, while the system's rules will provide constraints and conditions on what these characters will be able to do. Game structure. A solo RPG game is usually structured into scenes. Yes, I agree 1,000,000%. And if you could think that way in your head when you're doing things, it will help you. Right. Each scene unfolds at a location where the characters can interact with NPCs, witness events, face dangers. As soon as an event is resolved, or when the characters leave the location, the scene concludes, such as Rory's story cubes or tarot cards. I have not used Rory's story cubes yet, but I really want to. All right? I really want to in the future. The time limit is a new thing. It's an abstraction of how close you are to finishing your quest. The higher the time limit, the more likely it is for you to face perilous situations. By default, the time limit starts at 8, but it can vary between 6 and 12. When it reaches 12, you fail to complete your quest. Okay, very cool. Quest failure, which I haven't really ever experimented with before on the channel, so that's a fun one. In-game day consists of 6 scenes. It's really cool that they put a number to that because I haven't ever thought about that before. 2 in morning, afternoon, 1 at night. Very cool. I love the idea of that. We've just been experimenting with scenes and times of day through travel in Land of Eam recently, so that's totally currently relevant to me. It's fantastic. And then it also says, when the last scene of the day ends, ask yourself the following question: has the story progressed favorably for characters? If the answer is yes, decrease the time limit by 1. If the answer is no, increase your time limit by 2. I still don't know enough about the time limit to say if that's good or bad yet, but we'll see. Playing solo, the quest. We must define the main goal of our quest. You can make one up yourself or roll on a table for inspiration. Very cool. This is a fun one. Shall we do example? I think maybe we shall. We need 2d6. So this looks like this whole oracle uses d6s, so that's what we're going to use. Okay, first we do 2d6 for what it is. Let's do it. We've got a 3 and a 6, which is a 9, so NPC. And then we do another 6 on the NPC table. What is our overlying quest? That is a 3, which makes it rescue. Our overlying quest is to rescue an NPC. Cool. When you start a scene, you can follow these steps. Roll or choose a location. That's fun. So we're establishing our location for the scene. Establish the elements that capture the character's attention in the scene, such as the weather, smells, taste, sounds, facial expressions. I'm loving this already. If you guys watched my solo game loop video, you should know I'm loving this already. But I have a rule of 3, right? Come up with 3 elements, important elements. After that, you might get lost in the sauce, okay? Optionally, you can define the scene event by rolling 1d6 plus your time limit on the table below. Roll a challenge, roll a danger, roll a random event. Roll or choose a location. Then if necessary, roll an NPC. Additionally, you can ask questions to advance the narrative and or gather attentional details. If you run out of ideas or need inspiration, feel free to consult any of the random tables. Once the scene is set, go into action. Scene, then we're going into task, and then we're going into action. Literally? My goodness, that's crazy. Okay, I'm mentioning start, the solo game loop, by the way. Scene, task, action, resolution, transition. That's my solo game loop, which this is literally following. That's crazy. So far, I'm already thinking I'm going to need a physical copy of this bad boy, because very good. All right, moving on. Shall we do the things? I'm wondering. Let's roll a location. Where is our location? Here we are. The location oracle provides a framework that enables the player to generate diverse locations within the game world. Okay. How do I know which chart to pick? Purpose or function? Notable features. Look at all these beautiful NPC roll charts. Okay, hold on. We're not there yet. Quick dungeon generator. Oh my good lord. There are 6 of these charts. I wish they were numbered. Hazards or challenges. Atmosphere. Okay, so I guess first is purpose or function. That's a 4. The location our character currently is in: infrastructure, governmental, civic. And then we're going to go into the other one. So you know what? Let's do that. Let's roll 3d6. Let's do notable features, structural element, and atmosphere together. So we already got a 3 for that infrastructure. All right. Now we've got a 1, and a 4. Abandoned, decaying, neglected. So abandoned infrastructure that is sunken or buried. The atmosphere is lively, vibrant, awe-inspiring. What? I should have picked a theme. If we're putting together a story, I should have picked a theme. But just so you guys know, my head immediately went to a city hall, which makes sense. The fact that it's abandoned makes sense. It could be half buried in the sand. And then when I heard buried, I started thinking Mad Max-esque, you know what I mean? Like covered in sand. And then lively, vibrant, and awe-inspiring immediately made me think there's a bunch of like Mad Max bandit dudes that are partying around this bad boy. Like it's completely collapsed, but people are just partying and like spray painting the walls, and it's half buried in sand. There's like a big old fire pit outside, and these dudes are just partying. Our quest is to rescue an NPC, so I'm already thinking that the NPC we need to rescue is inside that bad boy somewhere. This is our starting location. So as it stands right now, this is a very cool tool just for it to take my mind that way. If you guys have thoughts about where your mind might have went, absolutely leave in comments below, let me know. But very cool already. Okay, then if necessary, we could roll up an NPC. Additionally, we can ask questions. So we could do yes or no questions. We could get extra elements if we need to, but since all that came to us, I don't really feel the need to. So we could ask our questions, the yes or no questions and open questions, yes or no questions. Our queries that can be answered with a simple yes or no. Yes, if we're solo role players, we already know how this works, but let's see how they do it. Formulate a question whose answer is limited to yes or no. Define the probability of getting a positive answer. Roll according to the chosen probability. Interpret the result within the logic and/or or context of the story. Categorizing a question is a subjective act that must consider the logic and or context of the story. Yeah. So we have, likely, unlikely, and impossible. So we do 1d6, 2d6, or 3d6. So likely is just 50-50, straight across the board. That looks pretty classic and normal to us. If you roll one odd number, the answer is no. If you roll two different even numbers, the answer is yes. But there's more. 1 and another odd number is no and. 2 and 2 is yes but. 3 and 3 is maybe. 4 and 4 is maybe. 5 and 5 is no but. And then 6 and another even number is yes and. What if it's 6 and an odd number? It's no and, I guess, I'm assuming. Okay, the unlikely chart is a little bit confusing to me because I feel like there are some combinations we might be missing. I mean, I guess not. 6 and 1 would just be no and. Oh, I get it. So two different even numbers. But these are the similar even numbers. These are the same even numbers. So if we get 6 and any other even number, it's just yes. And right. Got it. Cool. Moving on. Here's the impossible chart. If you roll one odd number, the answer is no. If you roll three different even numbers, the answer is yes. If you roll three different odd numbers, the answer is no but. Three different even numbers and two are equal, the answer is yes but. If you roll the same odd number in all dice, the answer is maybe. Okay, this is a chart you'll have to memorize, but much like on the mythic number stuff, we have memorized what all that means. I think with all this extra-ness, there could be a good place for events, maybe. Could be a good way to expand a little bit. And I mean like random events, dangers, other kinds of stuff, which we did actually just have up here. I still don't know anything about the time limit, so I'm waiting to learn about whatever that is. But the time limit apparently deals with this event table. Now we're talking about understanding the answers, which we should know by now. We're solo players, but I appreciate that they included that. Here we go. There are open-ended questions that require more of a detailed response and can't be answered with a simple yes or no. For example, what does this room look like? Yes. To address these open-ended questions, you can refer to the actions and themes table. How it works is simple, but it requires a bit of creativity. After formulating an open question, roll D66, one for action and another for theme. Then combine the words and interpret the meaning within the history. All right, so we're seeing some mythic kind of influences here. What does let's say, yeah, we've gotten past, our character has snuck past all the Mad Maxy looking people out front because they were partying, and now we're in the first room. What does this first room look like? I imagine we slid through some sand through a window because it's like under the sand, right? So let's roll on this to see what happens. That is a 24, and we're doing action and then theme. So we have 2 and 4, that is deny. We could also do 4 and 2, which would be point, but let's do deny. And then we'll roll for theme. That is a 55, random event. No, we're not playing mythic. 5 and 5, reason, deny reason. In cases where the action plus theme pair don't provide an obvious answer to an open question, causing a stall, you can roll again or simply apply the 20-second rule, which I have made videos about. I love the 20-second rule. Yeah. Deny reason. There's a reason. We're being denied. We've stepped into this room. What does this room look like? Deny reason. I mean, evil, occult, sadness, wealth, all of that would have been great, but we got deny reason. It looks like there's a lot of good words on here and good combinations, but for this one, not good. So for deny, I'm already thinking that we wanted to get into this room. Excuse me. We thought we could slide through the sand through the window, but when we get there, the window has bars on it, so we can't get through. But there's a reason that there's bars on it. Maybe the NPC is a prisoner down in there, and they put bars on the windows, so we can see them down there. Now we could talk to them. That's where I would do that. It's not as fun, but it worked. Then we have some examples. Very cool. Now we have our oracles. In the context of solo RPGs, oracles are tools used to generate random elements, answer questions, or provide inspiration for the narrative. For example, yes or no questions, can open questions, mechanisms described before themselves are the primary oracles used for solo RPGs. The random event oracle introduces unexpected dynamic elements into the narrative. It can help create challenges, opportunities, etc. So we have the random event table. When do we roll on it? Just at any time. If you need more detail in a random event, roll an action plus theme pair. When does a random event happen is my question. But, well, since we're rolling on everything, let's roll on this to get an example. We've got a 6 and a 2, that is an 8. A natural event occurs. If you need more detail in the random event, roll an action plus theme pair. Natural event sandstorm, easy. But is there a revelation with this? It's got a 54, which is a 9. A character's true intentions are revealed to be different from what you believed. Oh, this NPC isn't as good as we thought, and they're revealing that to us as a sandstorm begins to happen, and we're like, tell me more. Well, we gotta run because the sandstorm's happening. you know. The Challenge Oracle provides player characters a variety of obstacles or difficulties to overcome. Its purpose is to test the player character's skills and abilities, which can lead to character development and advancement in the narrative. So if we go back up to game structure, define the scene event by rolling on the time limit. So we have random event that happens dealing with our timer. So that's when it happens. This is an optional thing you can do you establish the whole scene and then you'll roll on your challenge, which could be a random event, a challenge, or a danger. So it happens every single time. So in this game flow, if our timer was up or whatever, we could just roll on this challenge instead. And it gives us agility and reflexes, awareness and institution, etc. And I really like this a lot because even in my solo Ouija, the game mat that I actually developed, you can still get it on the merch store if you like it. But I included a little chart for a challenge oracle, just much like this. If you're developing your scene and you don't know what challenge or task that your character needs to try and overcome, you could actually roll on it. And I like that a lot. So it's cool that they included it this way. And if you need more detail on the challenge, roll an action plus theme pair. So you can get physical power. So forcing open, let's say, the bars while the sandstorm is coming. And then we could come back up here and we can roll again. We get physical challenge and I got a 1 and a 5. So count 33, count forbidden. I don't know if this action and theme oracle is beautiful, perfect, but it seems okay. Count forbidden. I've got nothing for count forbidden, not in the current context of what we're doing. Well, all right, I'm gonna move on. Then we have difficulty level. You can define this is right after challenge type here. Define the difficulty level of a challenge according to logic or context. Trivial, easy, moderate, hard, almost impossible. Very easy. Or you can actually literally roll on it, which I think is very cool because a lot of times we have issues coming up with target numbers ourselves as solo players. That's why I use the ICRPG cards, if you guys didn't know. That's why these are always on my desk here, because whenever I'm playing a D20 system that requires us to hit a D20, I actually just shuffle these cards. And this helps me in each scene that I develop. This actually helps me come up with my current target number. So that's a 17 there, we've got a 13 there, etc. But it's cool that in this system, they literally included it. All right, negative consequences. If you want to determine the outcome of a failed or partially failed challenge, you can roll on negative consequences below, which is 4d6. This is a very cool chart right here. Negative consequences, because let's say you had that challenge to pull open them bars and you fail it, then you can come here and you can roll your 4d6 and you can come up with something. The player character is disarmed because we failed, you know. It's very cool. Then we have the Danger Oracle, which is the same as the Challenge Oracle, I believe. Let's double check here. Yeah, so Danger Oracle, Challenge Oracle, they're all right there. Very cool. All right. Now we're just getting into oracles. I mean, straight up. We have, I want to move this over a little bit to show you guys. Here's this list right here. So after Danger, we have our NPC list that has all of these awesome traits for NPCs. It even have an attitude modifier right here, which we love. Interaction, engages in combat, refuses a quest. That's crazy. I wonder what's this star here for? Roll 1d6 plus their attitude modifier. Oh, snap. That's cool. I forgot to move back over here. Sorry about that. Let me go back. I'm going to show you guys how cool this NPC chart is. Oh, I'm a dummy. I moved it and didn't move it back. I was very stoked on this here. You roll for their attitude and it gives you a modifier, and then your modifier after you roll a d6 affects their interaction with you, which goes from shows affection. If you have a 4, you can actually get a 6 and they can show you affection, literally be in love with you. It's cool. This is very, very cool roll chart. I like that a lot. Anywho, then we're down to locations, our dungeon generators, which again, I haven't ever really done a roll chart dungeon thing before, so I can't say a lot about it, but it's cool that they include it because if I want to, we can use it. That's right. Then we have additional details, distances, sizes, weathers, adjectives. We have adjectives for cosmic horror, fantasy, and generic. Sick. I think I would probably actually use the action tables we were using earlier and combine them with the adjectives, I think is what I would actually do personally. I'd get 3 words that might help a lot, or just get that 3rd word from here if I ever needed it. But also we have fantasy and modern, and then we have appendices. And these look like all about cooperative play, safety tools, talking about session zeros. In a cooperative game, players take turns bringing elements to a scene. So whenever a new scene starts, do the following. One player chooses location, then another one lays down the elements. One player rolls the scene event. If needed, another player makes a subsequent roll, random event, challenge, or danger. This is actually really cool. I like this a lot. One player adds in an additional detail by rolling a revelation, for example. If needed, another player rolls for the NPC. The main idea is that the players keep piling on details until a scene is set. Very, very sick. Handling events. There are many random events that can happen to a character. To handle such prompts, players can ask themselves, does this apply to everyone or just a single character? As a general rule, the following criteria may be adopted. I get it. So these appendices are literally all just about doing cooperative play solo. We call it duo play. All right, not cooperative, duo. Very cool. All right, this is a short, shiny kind of showcase here of the Little GM Emulator. I really want to know if any of you guys have ever used this before. What do you think about it? I actually, because I read through it a little bit, but I knew I wanted to be surprised here in the video, so I wanted to read through it for the first time in full in the video. And I'm really surprised by this, and I need to find somewhere to be able to get a physical of this, or I'm going to have to print it and bind it myself, because I actually see myself using this. There's a lot of useful stuff in this Little GM Emulator. The creator of this, Gustavo, has done a wonderful job. I am blown away by this. There's one other thing I must show you before I let you go. I almost forgot it. If you pick this up on DriveThruRPG, it comes with 4 of these, it says fanzines, Oracle fanzines. And this one is for NPCs, which is kind of cool. And these are printable and foldable. So you can print them out yourself, fold them in half. That's why you can see the top section is actually upside down, but it's so you can fold it and fold it again, right? So you can have it as a little booklet. And we actually have the NPC, we have the location fanzine right here. It actually looks like a combination of the things that were in the book, and someone just kind of put them together for you to be able to print out and use. We actually have the yes or no Oracle one, and we have the open-ended questions with the themes right here. Very, very cool. I'm like, when I first looked at them, you remember those things? They're like, pick a color, you know what I mean? And then you fold it. I don't remember what they're called, but I'm like, I want to figure out how to use one of those for solo roleplay. That might be a fun little video to make. And that's what this reminds me of. My goodness. Anywho, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on this bad boy. Let me know down in comments below. And hey, I think it's fantastic. That's just me. Once again, shout out to our channel members and Ko-Fi supporters on the end screen. But for now, my friends, take a seat on the couch by subscribing, at least until you find yourself in a Mad Max world trying to break someone out of a jail cell yourself. Roll on that, weirdos, and I'll see you next time. Turkey out.
Subscribe, just like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe, just like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe, like, share, like, share, like, share, subscribe.